right, so guys, it's no surprise. I love food. You know I love food. You check out my Instagram feed, and there's nothing but pictures of food on there. All right, so they're annoying to look at because I'm always eating well, and you're looking at me eat well. But you know what? I want everyone here to eat well. And I want the chefs out there for their customers to eat well. And that's why I have tracked down Brett Ottolenghi. Man, I can't speak today. That's because we're recording this interview. It's my last chore before being done for the weekend. So let me start that again. Brett Ottolenghi, who's a Las Vegas resident, but more importantly, he is the founder of the Vegas Food Expo, and that's happening at the Westgate, Las Vegas on April 15th, and of course, the one and only fabulous Las Vegas. So two of my favorite things coming together. I'm hoping, Brett, you'll be my third favorite thing coming together. How are you today?
I'm great, Glenn. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and sorry for stumbling all over your name and stuff there, but I'm just excited to talk to you and talk about the food. You know, you're doing this food expo, and I think that's really exciting. There's nothing I like more than going to these food events and walking up and down the aisles and seeing new and interesting foods and ingredients, and more importantly, getting to be a taster of everything.
Absolutely. They're a lot of fun. So basically, as you know, Vegas, we're the convention capital of the United States, and we've become this culinary destination over the last 15 years.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think I hear Orlando crying. Sorry, Orlando. But yeah, Vegas is number one. Go on.
So I felt it was time that our town have a food trade show that was really worthy of our restaurant scene. And otherwise, a lot of us have always traveled outside of Nevada. We'd go to New York or San Francisco for the fancy food show, or there's the large natural food expos. But I thought it was time that Vegas, that we have our own.
That's cool. Is this is the second time you're doing this one now, correct?
This will be our second year, yes.
All right, awesome. So tell me a little bit about the show. Why should I hop on a plane and come on down there? You know, I travel a lot. I'm a tired guy, but you know, what's in it for the attendee?
So our trade show is very different from other food trade shows. We recognized there was really a need for small food producers to reach the market, and a lot of these other larger trade shows, they're prohibitively expensive to these up and coming emerging food brands. So you have a lot of companies that might have a great idea and a great product, but they just can't afford to be at these standard trade shows. So what we've done is we've really created this stepping stone where young companies can be found by large wholesale buyers, right, and they can do it at a more affordable rate.
That's it. That's interesting. So, all right. So I want to hear about the types of foods that are there and some of the trends that you think are being represented are there. So you had the event for the first time last year, and kudos to you for taking the gamble as an entrepreneur to create an entirely new event. That must have been a scary proposition in itself.
Oh, certainly. It's a lot of work. We have a team, a large team of us working on this, and the first one took 2 years to organize. So we're actually 3 years into organization, even though this is only our second year event.
Wow. So, all right. So tell me about those trends. What were some of the products and stuff like that were there at the event last year that gave the chefs and the customers the edge for the following year?
So to start, we look at tens of thousands of companies. We really look at every small food company we can find that has been created since the last year. And when we're looking for these, we ask ourselves, is this a product that is poised to be discovered? So we're looking at their package design, the concept itself. Is it something that's new or original or just better executed than what is already on the market?
Right.
And so if the product really meets that criteria, then we invite them to exhibit with us. And we like our show to be very diverse. So there's a little bit of everything. Last year, there were, of course, health is always in trend. Health foods are always trending, but it's changing a little bit. So,
well, 2 years ago, you couldn't say a sentence without the word kale coming out. Now I don't hear it at all, for example.
Yes. Well, nuts, I would say, are one of the new health foods. We've seen a lot of nut butters in the past, and that has evolved a bit. Now we're seeing things like nut butter cups. So instead of the standard Reese's peanut butter cup, now you've got ones made with hazelnut butter and things like that. We even have a company this year called Peel Nut that's coming from the Philippines, and they're introducing an entirely new type of nut, something that I've never seen before. It's called a pili nut, Pili. And so I think that's fun. Obviously, it's existed in the Philippines for a long time, but we haven't seen it in the West.
Hey, look, we're Americans. If it's not here, we don't know it exists. So that's kind of like our mantra here. So what makes the Pili Nut special?
Josh, I'm still waiting to see. They sent me some beautiful samples. Actually, they are delicious. They've sent them as candied and raw and roasted, all different ways. But
I think macadamia nuts probably shivering out there with fear. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen.
And there are all sorts of new products like that. Jackfruit is something we're starting to see more of.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing meat substitute that you get up to 8,000 pounds of this fruit from a single tree.
Woo.
The trees they don't need any pesticides or maintenance, so it's a very efficient crop for people in less developed areas to grow. So that's catching on. We see a lot of that. We have a company coming back this year called Pan's Mushroom Jerky. That was an interesting one.
Mushroom jerky? Now I'm a
yes,
freak for jerky, but the traditional once being a living creature kind of jerky. How does that work with mushroom jerky?
When you taste this, you won't miss the meat. It tastes so authentic, just like an excellent quality jerky, and yet they're making it from oyster mushrooms.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, away from the health side of things, we also have other producers coming that are pushing the envelope. There's one called Bourbon Barrel Foods.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced a product last year that was really amazing. So they've taken Worcestershire sauce, or rather, they made one from scratch that they age in bourbon barrels. And so some of these companies are really just trying to perfect a classic, and we love to see producers taking on that challenge.
Yeah, what is it? Oh, sorry. Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
There's a company coming this year called Asila that is from Morocco. And, of course, harissa is something very popular there in Northern Africa. And so they're trying to recreate that condiment for more of a Western palate and for Western kitchens, so it's a little bit more usable in our cuisine. And so I can see that being a trend.
So they're going to reformulate it and just call it ketchup. I think that'll be appropriate. Sorry, I'm feeling a little silly this afternoon. That's pretty cool. So, is it mostly ingredients that you have, or do you have food product as well at the show?
It's a food product.
Not just an ingredient, but hey, I could take this whole thing and just eat it as on its own, or serve it in my restaurant.
We have both. So there are some companies that might have things like snack foods, but then there's also a lot of basic ingredients. So we have something for everybody. We have chocolate, charcuterie, cheeses, seafood, produce, salts and oils, caviar and truffles and mushrooms. It's a little bit of everything.
Wow, I'm really getting hungry at this point. I would love to be able to be at this thing. This is really terrific. But now, what I'm thinking? Now I'm thinking about the other side of it. I get that as a chef, as an industry insider, I want to go and I want to explore. But what if I'm the type of guy that is making pickles in my basement, and I think I've got the best darn pickles on the planet? How do you go about bringing a new food product to market? I wouldn't even know where to start.
So. Yeah, it'd be a great idea to come to our show and see what else is on the market. Of course, if you're launching a new food item, it's important to see what else is out there. So I would really suggest Google being your first stop to launch any new food product. And the reason being that there's relatively low barriers to entry in the food industry. Mm-hmm. So you see a lot of overproduction in certain categories. Things like hot sauce, barbecue sauces, spice rubs, infused vinegars and oils. Anything that doesn't have a big hurdle to create, there's likely to be too many options really for the consumer. So my first suggestion to anybody looking to launch a new food product is really to make sure that they have a new offering, something that's significantly different from what else is out there. And certainly coming to our show is a great way to meet other small food producers and hear how they got started. We've got a great opportunity for small business people. Our show this year, we have Chip Heath, the author of Made to Stick, and several other best-selling marketing books. He's a professor at Stanford, and he's actually going to be one-on-one working with our exhibitors and listening to how they've been marketing their new products and giving them feedback how they might want to consider making their marketing efforts more sticky to consumers.
That's fascinating. So I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of food here, and no matter how hungry we all are, you're probably going to have a lot of leftovers. I understand that you're going to be partnering with my favorite food bank in the neighborhood, 3 Square.
Yes, Three Square, they're a great organization. If anybody has the opportunity to volunteer with them, it's worth going and checking out. It's a very impressive facility. They are feeding, I believe it's 50 million meals a year now.
Yep.
And so we're happy to partner with them and give them any, we donate foods that are left over at the end of the show, and hopefully those go to good use.
That's awesome. So we're talking about the Vegas Food Expo taking place at the Westgate, Las Vegas on April 15th and 16th. Be sure to mark off your calendars. So, Brett, I'm really curious as to what are some of the cool things that you've enjoyed at last year's show and that you're looking forward to this year?
Oh, gosh. A lot of them are coming back, fortunately. One that was very interesting, I was just showing around yesterday to some restaurants from the Philippines. There's a salt company, and they actually are bringing in a traditional salt. They're the only ones importing it to the United States. They had to get it set up with the FDA, and it looks like a dinosaur egg. It's very cool. And there's so many. There are farms. There's a grass-fed beef farm here from Nevada that's going to be showing their products. There's about 15 local distributors. There's some beverage companies. So I'm really excited for all of it. I can't say there's any one in particular.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't ask you to make that Sophie's choice of the people that are committing to it, your event. That's just cruel position to put you in. So let me ask you this question. You talked about health foods always being popular, but sure, foods that are healthy. What about, you mentioned the grass-fed beef. What about, animal product that's antibiotic free and organically raised and all of that kind of stuff? How do you see that as a trend coming on and its overall effect at the trade show and in the food market in general?
So it's health foods are generally more popular on the consumer level, retail, and in grocery stores. For food service, it still has, as far as natural and organic, these things have really not caught on so much on the food service level yet. However, a lot of our exhibitors will offer both. There's usually a more premium offering that's going to be organic or natural, and then a conventional offering for food service applications. So it's definitely important and part of most of the suppliers to have some exposure to the natural foods market, but it's not necessarily a requirement to be at our show.
No, that's yeah, I wouldn't think so. As far as I'm concerned, Vegas to me, it's not when I think about food and Vegas, I'm not necessarily thinking about eating the. I know a lot of healthy foods there, but I'm not thinking about the healthiest food. I'm thinking about the ingredients that make the tastiest and most delicious food. So I'm looking forward to having some of those tastes. And I bet you're going to have some chefs and stuff doing cooking demonstrations and stuff like that too, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we've partnered with the Back of House Food Truck Brawls. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those.
I have not, but I want to hear more about it right now.
So they've been going on for about 12 years here in Vegas. They're very late at night on a Saturday when chefs get off from work, and we'll often meet up. There's a few food trucks. Chefs, you have 2 chefs competing. Each one gets a food truck and a basket of mystery ingredients.
Oh, cool.
And then they're given 30 minutes to make the best dishes they can, and then it's judged by a panel of 3 judges. So we've partnered with them, and we'll be having one round for our kickoff party on April 14th. That's a Saturday night at the Sand Dollar Lounge. And then we'll have 2 more rounds of the competition at the Westgate in our expo. So all of the mystery ingredients they're cooking with are donated by our exhibitors. And the chefs are going to be executive chefs from Las Vegas here.
That is
competing.
awesome. I love that idea. It really combines, to me, and for all of you PR marketing people that are out there, a lot of the best of worlds ideas. You're helping present the people that are supporting your event and giving them a great new way to connect with those individual chefs who might, in turn, want to use those products themselves and introduce it to the public in a creative, interesting, practical use way. Ingenious. I love that idea.
Yeah, actually, while they're cooking, the producers are going to be able to say a few words to the crowd about the products, especially if it's something unusual or unique. We'll get to learn about the ingredients the chefs are cooking with as that goes on.
I mean, if I'm thinking about, having some of that mushroom, Pan's mushroom jerky, for example, from Pamco Foods, I'd be like, I got to explain this product. So if I see it in the final tasting thing, I understand the reason from it. Or what is this? Round Rock honey from, honey from the rock. What is that?
I'm trying to think. They're from Texas, and that's an interesting honey company. They actually
Fresh, raw, local honey. They've got a beekeeping school. That is pretty awesome.
Yes, they do a lot for education. So they're trying to encourage small beekeeping all over the country, and it's become the largest beekeeping school in the country.
Yes. You also have a mini taco shells company there. I think that's going to be pretty cool too. I think it's great for, one of the big trends that we see right there now are small plates, little foods for people to share. And I'm thinking about cocktail parties. I'd love to have myself a little mini taco handout. It's easy to eat and have a cocktail at the same time.
Right. I'll just name a couple of other things going on. One farm donated a Berkshire pork. It's actually one of the best Berkshire pork farms in the country, called Becker Lane in Iowa. They a really special farm, and so they're sending us one of their pigs, and it's going to be butchered by a gentleman who will make it into charcuterie. It'll take a few hours, but it'll be a lot of fun for people to watch that whole process. Then we also have Phillip Preston, the founder of Polyscience. He's coming for our first day. He'll be speaking on our stage. And Phillip started Polyscience about 50 years ago. They're most well known for immersion circulators. So if you've ever done sous vide cooking, sous vide cooking would not exist today without Polyscience, because they were the only ones producing the immersion circulators for about 25 years.
Wow.
And so Phillip sees himself as an inventor, and he creates these ideas in his garage. Then he brings them to Chef Grant Atkiss at Alinea in Chicago. And if the two of them feel that they've created a gadget that other chefs in the world would like to use, then Polyscience turns it into an actual product. And one example is the smoke gun. So a few years back, Phillip created a gun that you could put sawdust in or whatever you like, and it'll make smoke, so you can inject it into a dish. And within a year, they were selling 50,000 units of that.
Wow. That's unbelievable. When you first said sous vide, that's the chef that I immediately thought of. So funny.
And so Phillip's going to bring with him all of these prototypes of products which he invented but maybe didn't bring to market. So that's going to be exciting to see these gadgets. And he was telling me about one, which is a snow machine. He didn't want shaved ice. He wanted literally snowflakes. So he created a chamber, and he can inject it with strawberry juice and get snow. So I hope he brings that one. And then the second day, Monday, that's April 16th, we have the Google Trends team. Now, this is a group of very smart people at Google. They almost never give presentations. They exist really for their top 30 advertisers. So you can imagine they'll go to a big food company like Kraft, and they'll say, okay, we've been looking at search data, and we can see that a couple years from now, cauliflower is going to be very popular, or purple vegetables will be popular. And so with that information, the company knows, well, let's start developing products that use purple or cauliflower. And so they're going to be giving us a presentation and telling us what it all means, what they can learn from search data. I think that will be invaluable both for people starting small food companies, but also chefs designing their next menu, if they can have that foresight.
I love it. That's really terrific. So anything else that you want to add about the Vegas Food Expo taking place at Westgate in Las Vegas, of course, otherwise it'd be odd to call it the Vegas Food Expo, April 15th and 16th with that great kickoff party on the 14th. Any final thoughts?
Well, if any of your listeners would like to come, I'm happy to give them a discount code for admission.
What is that code?
When it'll be good for the next couple of weeks. If you go to our website, there'll be a coupon code section. Just use, it says SAVE, SAVE 25 for 25% off. It's an easy code to remember. And we also are offering staycation packages where you can get a hotel room for 2 nights and free admission for 2 people to our show for a total of $199.
Wow.
So that's a really good deal. That's less than half the normal cost of the rooms. So get in touch if you'd like to have a staycation or travel to Vegas and join us.
Excellent. That sounds awesome. Hope to see you guys there. That's the Vegas Food Expo. Learn a little bit more at vegasfoodexpo.com. Again, that's April 15th and 16th. Brett, really great having you here today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Great. And I will see you over some charcuterie in Vegas. Thanks for being here. And thanks, everybody, for listening. And we will be back next week. That is, unless I get lost in Las Vegas and eat my way through the Las Vegas Food Expo. Thanks for listening. Be back next week.